Monkey Funny. Hi,
There's a monkey in my bathroom.
but you can just simply call me Amazon, and today we return to our ancestors, to our long-lost monkey beginnings. And no, this isn't a video about Bloons tower defense. It's a video about Ancestors: The Humankind Odyssey. But more importantly, a reminder that this game was even released. I'll get more into this a bit later, but the games like this were a pipe dream to me growing up. Playing Flash games going through the evolutions of time like Age of War, it's a very engaging premise. Seeing something grown from brittle bone to an ironclad hunk of machinery with laser weapons is something that we as humans evidently just enjoy partaking in. This game doesn't go nearly that far though. Instead, this game focuses on an era even further back in time, before history has even begun to be written. A time of and Ancestors: The Humankind Odyssey is a video game that came to life thanks to the creative mind of Patrice Désilets. And I'm sorry for that pronunciation, by the way. You might recognize him from his work on the Assassin's Creed series, where he played a big role in the first 3 games. After his Ubisoft journey, Patrice decided to start his own game studio, Panache Digital Games, in 2014. Their first and only released project so far is the game in question, which dropped in August 2019. The game takes you on a wild ride through human evolution, starting from ancient Africa and spanning about 10 million years. You get to see how we went from being some distant relatives of apes to becoming the top dogs on Earth. Patrice and his team wanted to make something unique that lets you experience the ups and downs of early human life. It's all about realism and getting a feel for what our ancient ancestor had to deal with as they struggled to survive in a challenging and ever-changing world. Released on August 27th, 2019 for PC and later for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One in December 2019. Ancestors is one of those games that kind of got mixed up in the review blender. Lots of people really enjoyed it. They liked that it tried something new and genuinely different. The game really makes you feel like you're back in prehistoric times, dealing with challenges our ancestors faced. The world they created is lush and wild, and it's a trip to explore. But here's the twist. Not everyone got it, and the game doesn't hold your hand much, and it's not your typical survival game either. Managing hunger, thirst and injuries is to be expected, but in Ancestors, it can feel like there aren't any goals outside of that. So, in a nutshell, Ancestors is a game that some people totally got into for its unique take on human evolution, while others felt like it was a bit too complicated and unclear. It's one of those games that were misunderstood before and on release, but is it worth checking out today? I want to start this review section of my video with the fact that I didn't finish or even get very close to finishing the game. I did play enough to get to the reason why it's special though, to the reason this game is worth playing if you've got the patience to sit it out. But let's save that for just a couple of minutes. Instead, let's do a little micro review. First of all, this game can be a serious looker, but at the same time, it has the tendency to look like a PlayStation 2 game at other times. In movement, something I will speak about in a bit, this game can look seriously polished. It features lush and diverse environments, including dense forests to run around in, and towering cliffs to fall off of. These environments are teeming with plant and animal life, creating a rich and vibrant world for us to explore. But up close, these worlds look really bad sometimes. Like zooming in on an artwork only to see it's made out of Among Us characters, or looking close at hands in an AI-generated picture. Leaves look almost flat, not only in terms of their geometry, but also in terms of their color and texture. The character models in the game are designed to reflect the physical attributes of early hominids, but what I learned from playing the game is that they used to look like animated characters from an early PlayStation 3 title. The attention to detail in the character models, from their body proportions to their movements, is aimed at creating a sense of authenticity and realism, but I think they kind of failed. The lighting effects help to create a more immersive and visually appealing experience as players journey through different times of day and weather conditions. The game looks great most of the time, and I've never been one not to play a game because of its looks. But as someone who's currently replaying Cyberpunk 2077 to experience the new DLC, I can't help but notice that these graphics are somewhat simplistic. No, I'm not comparing this game to Cyberpunk, and yes, I think this game looks good most of the time, lessened by the fact that it sometimes doesn't. But that's just the graphics, and if there's something you should know about me, it is the fact that I think that gameplay almost always triumphs over it. So what does this game play like? The first thing you'll want to get comfortable with is just running around and jumping, which for some reason is done with the same button. Pressing and holding the jump button gives you a bigger jump, but if you press it while moving your left stick, you also run faster. And to stop running and start walking, you have to awkwardly stop in your tracks and start moving again. This is pretty customary in games without a dedicated walking button, like CS. You can take that one off your bingo card now. But if you don't stop and simply release the combined jump and sprint button, your monkey leaps into the air instead. It's all just a bit convoluted in this way, and it continues into the crafting and other parts of the game too. The game is made for a controller. It nicely tells you this while booting it up, but I can't help but to think that a controller just doesn't have enough buttons to do all the things that this game wants you to do. Some actions require pressing more than 2 buttons in series, up to crazy numbers, having to look at the unintuitive UI that doesn't match the symbols on my PlayStation 4 controller. The crafting system, in an attempt to be more realistic, also struggles here, having to look at the bottom of your screen looking for the right button to press. It tries to be realistic by not showing anything on your screen outside of your funny monkey smashing rocks together, because that's how they made stuff back then. But this attempt at realism kind of slows the game to a crawl and requires some serious dedication to get through. I unlocked a fair share of stuff and did a lot of things with the crafting, but none of it felt worth all the effort I put into it. To find things to craft with, we use our senses, a fun little gimmick that doesn't work all that well. Don't get me wrong, this all sounds very negative. It kind of is, but most of this serves the other, better side of the game, and the reason I pushed through and even enjoyed some of the aforementioned mediocre and sometimes bad stuff. The upgrade system is also rather convoluted, but it does work pretty well. I still don't really understand it, but it felt like it made a difference from time to time. Again, I didn't finish or even get close to finishing the game, so I don't actually know. Where this game instead shines brightest is in its exploration and what that entails, leaving your little collective of monkeys behind to venture into the jungle looking for new exciting locales and crafting materials is enthralling. But don't forget that the jungle is no place for fun and games. No, you'll be hunted if you stay on the ground, and attacked by birds if you go too high up. Instead, you revel in the in-between, swinging through trees and seeing sights. The day and night system and weather systems all combined here and make the experience even better, and make it worthwhile if only for this. The movement system becomes 10 times better once you learn how to swing, something that the game doesn't teach you. You'll just have to fall down to the ground and break your neck a couple of times, leaving your monkey children to survive for themselves in the unforgiving jungle. Yeah, that happened to me at least 2 times, swinging and missing a branch only to fall down and break my ape neck. It's a rather gruesome but very effective way to teach us to be careful of how we swing. We won't be able to do any kind of superhero landing here. Instead, we break and instantly die. So why isn't this game topping the hidden gem lists? Because it's convoluted and hard to approach for the people it was marketed towards. I heard about this game from the same place I heard about the latest Call of Duty and FIFA title, but it's not a game that the average Call of Duty or FIFA player would want to play. Instead, this game would have been better marketed toward people who think that the survival genre has run dry of truly new experiences. People who want a game about slowly but surely making a difference, and to people who want to try something truly and genuinely new. Because this is just that, new and exciting, if not convoluted and still hard to approach. I had some seriously fun times playing this game, getting hunted by the many dangers lurking on the ground as I went down to get my water levels straightened out, finding new crafting recipes by quite literally smashing things together, eating stuff my monkey really didn't like, and seeing some extraordinary sights from high up in the treetops. But it all drew back down to mediocrity when I then had to press 10 buttons in series that don't line up with my gamepad. And yes, that is partly my fault, but this game is on PlayStation. Why not just port those little icons across? But I don't doubt that this game is rated highly so long after its release for a good reason. It's made for the people who found it now, not the ones who saw it on release and thought a game about monkeys looked fun. I also don't doubt that I would eventually get past my many nitpicks and like the game all that much more. But is it worth going through so much just to get the chance to maybe enjoy something? Starfield players on Twitter says so. So maybe you'll like this game more than I did. Thanks for watching. This video has been a bit of a trip for me to complete. I just moved back into my apartment and I am officially out of a job. So this stands as my first video being quote back unquote. I hope to finish and record a script for the Apex video sooner rather than later, but hey, it's going to be a long one. Again, thanks for watching, and thank you specifically for subscribing to me on Patreon. It means a lot. That's it. That's the video.